And as always, I am here with Coach Clucas. What's going on, buddy?
What is up, buddy?
Happy Sunday night, AFC NFC Championship night, um, snowy night. Most of the east coast of the country, and most of the country, were hit with a large winter storm. We're all snowed in like everybody else, and we're also live on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook.
We are.
So we're doing a lot of things this Sunday night.
All while we're snowed in with you.
Well, you're in clearly a different part of town than I am. And how was the weather there?
I have not been outside. All right, I'll be honest with you. And I think we can say this because we do live on two separate sides of the town, but still, this snowstorm has not been what everybody made it out to be.
At least in our area.
Yeah, it's now been. It's still bad because we're not used to this. When we're in, for whatever reason, this state, this city, this county, whatever you want to call it, is never prepared for this. Even though 2 weeks ago we knew this was coming, still not prepared. But it's not as bad as what they made it out to be. Now, the aftermath of this is maybe what ends up being worse, because it is supposed to remain cold, so the snow isn't necessarily going anywhere. And as it melts, it's just going to freeze right back up. So,
well, it ain't melting anytime soon.
Well, I'm just saying, like, as it does, like, start to melt, maybe eventually it's just going to freeze right back up and it's going to turn into ice, which is going to make things worse. So, but yeah, all that being said, though, everybody that either got it worse or even that lives around here, in this area, please remain safe. Don't go outside if you don't have to. Listen, I'll be the first to tell everybody, you know what? If you can't make it to work, that job ain't worth it. Okay? That job ain't worth your life. So.
Okay. We got deep here within the first 3 minutes of.
Oh, because I've already seen it on Facebook and everything. People just still trying to go out, and you're, causing more harm to yourself than anything.
Listen, they need milk, bread, and eggs.
That part I'll never understand. What the hell are you? I get it if your power goes out, they're like essentials, but your milk's you can't open your fridge. You don't have anywhere to put cold stuff.
Outside.
All right. And then, yeah, sure. And then somebody made a good point. They're like, I keep seeing all these people buy bread, but nobody's buying any kind of like lunch meat or anything to go with it. So what the hell are we doing with this bread? So.
Yeah, it sounded like they're making French toast, but whatever.
I don't see cinnamon coming off the shelves. Okay.
Well, they might already have cinnamon. Everybody's got that in their pantry.
Yeah.
But
well, anyways,
as I mentioned, it was AFC NFC Championship night. Two fantastic games. But for the Super Bowl, we have the Seattle Seahawks playing the New England Patriots, which we have seen before, just two very different teams with different quarterbacks. But, man, two fantastic games tonight, and I think the Super Bowl is going to be a great game. So,
two fantastic games in two different fashions. I mean, the Denver and New England game was just ugly.
Whew,
I mean,
gosh, that snow was crazy.
And to be fair, I thought Jarrett Stidham played great, given the circumstances.
Played as best as he could in that situation.
And we can argue about it, we could debate it, whatever. I don't know if Bo Nix playing in this game makes that much of a difference with the weather conditions and everything else. Now, maybe a little bit, obviously, because but I mean, Stidham was still moving around.
He was
pretty well, but. I mean, New England's defense showed up to play. Denver's defense showed up to play. It's just, unfortunately, due to weather conditions and how cold it is and snowing and everything, there's just not a whole lot of offense that's going to get played. When you have two very good defenses, it's hard to throw the ball in the snow. So, when it comes down to running, you got two very good running defenses. It was just going to be first team to score, double digits, essentially, is going to win. And That's basically what it was. I mean, it was literally a 10-7 game that the Patriots won to go to the Super Bowl. So, hats off to the Patriots. The Patriots are now the only team in NFL history to go 9-0 on the road in a regular season. Didn't lose a single road game this year.
I didn't know that. Wow.
So that is an impressive feat for first-year head coach with Mike Vrabel, second-year quarterback Drake May. But yeah, so the New England Patriots are going to move on to the Super Bowl. Unfortunately for Denver, their season is over. And then on the flip side of that, we got the exact opposite game with Seattle and LA. We kind of got a little bit of a shootout in round 3. I mean, all 3 of these games were very close. First one wasn't really a shootout. Second one was a shootout, and that was a great overtime game by the Seahawks and Rams. And then tonight, another good one. And Sam Darnold, listen, you could say what you want about Sam Darnold, say what you want about how he started and everything. He has turned it around in the last 2 years, and now we are talking about Sam Darnold as a Super Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, he played phenomenal tonight.
I mean, 346, 3 touchdowns, and he exercised his demons of everybody saying he doesn't play well on the big stages and all this and that. Well, guess what? The boy's playing for a Super Bowl. And as a little funny, who would have thought out of the Bob Does Sports trio with those quarterbacks that Sam Darnold would have been the first of those 3 to make a Super Bowl?
No kidding. That's funny. Yeah, when you have Josh Allen also in that group.
Yeah. Now, granted, the other one's Kyle Allen. Kyle Allen's a backup. But between Sam Darnold and Josh Allen, if you would have told me 2 years ago when those guys showed up as a trio on Bob Does Sports who was going to make a Super Bowl first, I obviously would have told you Josh Allen. But shout out to Sam. Shout out to the Seahawks. You know, I did pick the Rams to win this game. But I told you back and forth last week I was just so torn because I really do like this Seattle team. And now I will say, and I texted you right when it happened, if Seattle had lost that game on a comeback, that corner in Seattle wouldn't have made it out of the locker room.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. Pretty dumb play by him.
I mean, to get a crucial stop up 31-20, force the 4th down, and then all of a sudden, because you want to taunt the sidelines because you're feeling yourself, it's a 15-yard penalty and an automatic first down. And then not only do you do that, the literal next play, you get burned in one-on-one. Now, granted, it's Puka. It's one of the best receivers in the game. I get it. But you can't do that and then just immediately get burnt.
Yeah, worst case scenario for that guy.
Worst
case.
You know, and unfortunately, it did not come back to bite them. So, but again, and then a shout out to the Rams. You know, they had a great season. Stafford, I still believe, is the MVP. But you know, I'm sure Stafford's probably going to give it. I don't know. We don't know how many more years of Stafford we're going to get, to be honest. You know, this maybe an MVP was, if he wins it, it's his farewell. He's won a Super Bowl. He's won an MVP. Maybe that's his farewell. Maybe he gives it one more year. Who knows? But we just got to enjoy Stafford while we still have him, because we're going to start losing all these childhood quarterbacks that we grew up on soon. Because, you know, who knows with Mike McCarthy, we'll get into that later, being with the Steelers now. Does Aaron Rodgers go back to Pittsburgh? Who knows?
Yeah.
So, got to enjoy these childhood quarterbacks while we can. So,
one thing I wanted to bring up about the Broncos and the Patriots game, there was a Broncos went for it on 4th and 1. I think it was in the third quarter. It was either second or third quarter, and they were on the 20. They were in the red zone.
Yeah, it was the second quarter. I remember.
Second quarter. Yeah.
Yeah.
They should have kicked that field goal.
Mm-hmm.
That really decided the game. Neither offense was moving the ball. That game would have went to overtime.
Yeah, see, a game like that, if you're in that kind of now longer field goal range in that kind of conditions, I understand maybe going for it on 4th and 1. But you're on the 20.
It wasn't snowing yet.
Right. But I'm saying, like, you're on the 20 or close to, or essentially the 25. It's 4th and 1, In a game like that, you take your points where you can.
Romo called it. Say what you want about Romo, but he's like, "Oh, you kicked this. You have to take the points here."
Going for it on 4th down is you go for it, right at the 50 or on your side of the 40. Like you're still driving, you just didn't get that extra yard. You go for it then. Unless you're down big, obviously, and you're on your own side of the field, you take your points where you can.
Yeah, it seemed like that game wasn't like you weren't going to get more possessions to score.
No, so you got to take them where you got. We're taking.
Yeah, I feel like you could have just took the points there instead of having to go for the home run. But it came back to bottom of the ass. So,
and especially with the backup, with the back,
yeah,
like
right. That's another thing.
No disrespect to Stidham or anything. Not saying you don't trust him, but listen, we just gotta collect points where you can, and especially if you're trying to build up his confidence. Like you build up his confidence, like, hey, you just led a scoring drive, right? Regardless, it wasn't 7. You led a scoring drive. We're good. Like,
yeah. I don't know. They messed that up. I think that was a bad decision. I think, but still overall great game. But yeah.
So now in 2 weeks in San Francisco, we will get Seattle, New England, part 2. Do we get another all-time great game? Do we get Mike McDonald should have handed it off to Kenneth Walker, like Pete Carroll should have handed it off to Marshawn Lynch, or do the Patriots for some reason just never seem to have to go through a rebuild and just get another Super Bowl ring? Or, does Seattle get their first Super Bowl in, what was it? So they won in 2013? So first Super Bowl in 13 years.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going to go make picks for this, I mean,
we could just kind of, there's obviously going to be a show in between now and the Super Bowl. So we can kind of, if you want to go just off your gut instinct right now, what they're telling you before you get time to think about it.
Well, I think this game goes one of two ways. I think it's a really close game and New England pulls it out somehow, some way, or Seattle blows them out.
Yeah, my gut tells me this is going to be a Seattle blowout.
It's very possible. This offense is insane. And the Patriots defense is good, but it's not as good as Seattle's. And and I don't think it's as good as I don't think it's going to stop Seattle's offense as much as people think. So, but you never know. It is a Super Bowl. Things get emotional. Players play differently. Coaches coach differently. So, but that's my gut telling me that the game's going to go one of two ways.
So, Seattle's ranked the number 1 defense in the NFL. Right now, the Patriots have played the Chargers, the Texans, and the Broncos, who are all, I don't know the exact stat. I know the Texans were obviously like number 3 in defense, or number 2 in defense. I think Denver was number 3 in defense, and I know the Chargers are like at least top 12.
But so those games,
they've been to the gauntlet.
Yeah, but those 2 games though, the Texans and the Broncos all had terrible weather.
Correct. Now obviously we don't know what the forecast in San Francisco for 2 weeks from now is going to look like.
Most likely 75 and sunny.
Correct. But if we go back and even look at these games, and this is what concerns me. Today, now granted, again, you want to take weather into as a factor, you can. But even as today, Drake May, 10 of 21, 86 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, but he did have a rushing touchdown. He had 10 carries, 65 yards, and a rushing touchdown. In the Houston game, he was 16 of 27, 179, 3 touchdowns and a pick. That game, he had four rushing yards. And then in the Chargers game, 268, a touchdown and a pick. And he had 66 yards rushing that game. So we haven't necessarily we've seen good Drake May, but we haven't seen Drake May that we saw in the regular season quite yet. And so I wonder, does that come out? Because with a guy that we've never seen in this situation before, we don't know what he's like in this moment. So maybe a Super Bowl, he turns into Patrick Mahomes, he turns into Tom Brady, and this is like he's just that guy when this moment is. Or does do we keep getting what we've seen? And you're going to be going up against the number 1 defense And on the flip side of that, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, for the Patriots, Chargers, you've played against, people like me and you playing on the Chargers offensive line to protect Justin Herbert. So you kind of got off easy there with playing their offense. The Texans, we all know that there's struggles on offense throughout the year. And then today, with playing a backup in Jarrett Stidham, obviously there was going to be not the greatest of offense played in Denver, given weather conditions. So you've kind of gotten off easy with playing elite offenses throughout the playoffs. Now you got to play a team that has an offense.
A really good one.
It has a top 10 quarterback in Sam Darnold, has a top 3 receiver in Jackson Smith-Njigba. And and that's the other thing that people aren't even realizing is this isn't the best version of Cooper Kupp, but people don't realize like Cooper Kupp can in moments give you what old Cooper Kupp was, which is huge for them.
Yeah.
When all the attention's on JSN.
Yeah, and he's been here.
Right. And so they have Kenneth Walker, good, very good running back. Obviously this team does a little bit miss the mix of Charbonnet and him. They didn't really go to anybody else today besides Kenneth Walker. But again, you're going to have to go up against an elite offense, and we haven't seen the Patriots have to do that just yet in this playoffs. So I agree with you. I think this game, it's either very, very close and the Patriots keep it close. And even in a close game, I still don't know if the Patriots are able to pull it out. Or the Seattle's just going to blow them out. Either way, I think Seattle wins this game. I think Seattle's been the best team all year. It's been neck and neck with them and the Rams as the best actual overall team all year. I feel like realistically, the NFC title game was our Super Bowl. I feel like that was the true Super Bowl. And I think Seattle just essentially, like I said, I think it can be close, but Seattle would still win. But my gut is telling me Seattle's going to kind of, this might reminisce, and it's not so much of a defensive side of it. This might reminisce Seattle, Denver, when they just absolutely obliterated Peyton Manning and the Broncos.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. For some reason, my gut just keeps telling me if it's a close game, the Patriots are going to pull it out.
And listen, if they do, listen, I'd be more than happy for Drake May and Mike Vrabel.
Yeah.
Regardless of the other people that are like, I can't stand to watch the Patriots do this again. I mean, listen, I've been a Drake May supporter since North Carolina. I love everything about him, but I can't see it happening just yet. So,
yeah, I mean, he'll be the second. Now he's the second youngest. Drake May is the second youngest quarterback to play in a Super Bowl, just behind Dan Marino. And I think he'd be either second or third winning.
And the other plus part, to make this game kind of even. These are first time Super Bowls for both head coaches. So it's not like one necessarily has the advantage over the other. But obviously Vrabel played in these games as a Patriot as a player. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, he's looking to become the first person to win a Super Bowl as a player and as a coach. So it could be interesting.
Yep. All right. Sticking with the NFL side of things, let's talk about some of these coaching hirings. So real quick, there's only been 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's only been 5. There's 9 spots available. Only 5 have been filled so far. So we still have 4 head coaching hirings to make. First one, Kevin Stefanski, former Browns coach, is now the Atlanta Falcons head coach. Jesse Minter, and we're going to go back through these. Jesse Minter is now the new Baltimore Ravens head coach. Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. Packers defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley is the new Dolphins head coach. John Harbaugh, former Ravens coach, is the new Giants coach, and then 49ers defensive coordinator Robert Saleh is now the Tennessee Titans head coach.
Let's go
I think
back and talk about.
obviously the biggest winner out of all these is Harbaugh with the Giants.
Yeah.
I think that was for New York. As soon as he became available to jump on it first. Now, obviously, he did still interview, but pretty much jump on it right away and be able to land him. This is huge. It's huge for the Giants and just in general, because they've been going coordinator after coordinator after coordinator, head coach. Now you get a solidified guy who can build a culture in the locker room and still kind of fits New York as well. And then this is huge for, guys like Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo and all these younger guys that like need guidance, and how to play this game and how to play, longevity and then develop. Harbaugh's perfect for this. So every year, an NFL team doubles their win total from the year before the next year. Giants won 4 games this year. I mean, even without looking at their schedule, I think they could easily, just with John Harbaugh, double their win total to at least 8.
Yeah, he's going to get that defense looking nice and tidy. He's going to get some pieces in there to help out, and he's going to be able to coach that defense and
you got a top
helping the team for sure. I'm curious who he's going to hire for his OC though, or what he does with that.
I believe hold on. It was a deal.
Oh yeah, Denard Wilson.
Denard Wilson's the defensive coordinator.
He's a DC. Sorry, they interviewed Robert Prince.
Yeah, I pretty much have seen. As long as Todd Monken doesn't get. As long as Todd Monken doesn't get a head coaching job, it's pretty much set in stone, I believe, that Monken's going to join Harbaugh in New York.
Which makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, familiarity.
Yeah.
Listen, and no disrespect to, obviously, Lamar. Lamar had a phenomenal year with Todd Monken. But if you go back and look at Todd Monken's offenses that he's ran, whether in college or or the pros, Dart kind of fits more of the mold of what Monken wants to run. So, and then again, you're going to get a guy like Cam Scadaboo. Now, if you're where Harbaugh comes big into play is with Jackson Dart is with a guy that's coached in this league for so long, won a Super Bowl. You want to get Jackson Dart and Cam Scadaboo kind of together and be like, look, y'all are crazy, but you can't be this crazy. Like,
protect yourselves.
We can be. I'm all for y'all, doing what it takes to win, but I'm not for y'all just constantly throwing your bodies, and constantly getting hurt, because this is what's going to happen. And that's a conversation I'm having with Dart. Like, listen, I want you as my quarterback. If I'm here 10 years in New York, I want you here as my quarterback for the next 10 years. Guess what? If you keep doing what you're doing, I'm going to be looking for a new quarterback in another year or 2. So I need you to figure it out. Like,
yeah, he probably had the same conversation with Lamar.
Yeah. And we're going to get to that. Robert Saleh in Tennessee, I think, is an okay hire. Again, I think everybody is doomed when they're in New York. So I'm not going to look at Robert Saleh with the Jets and be like, oh, you just hired a Jets coach who was a disaster. Like, no, anybody's going to be a disaster with the Jets. Okay. So, I'm not going to look at that. I think that's a good culture guy. The only problem I have is you still have a young quarterback in Cam Ward that's going to need help in developing. Can Robert Saleh do enough or get the right guy in there as an offensive coordinator to kind of help with his development? If not, I think this just hurts, to be honest. So I'm kind of up in the air with that. Jeff Hafley in Miami. Listen, I think Hafley can be a very good coach. And again, the trend when you hire coaches typically is if you had an offensive guy before, you tend to swing to a defensive guy and kind of change things up. We don't know what Miami's going to be. Tyreek Hill's probably going to be on the move this offseason. Who knows what they're going to do with Tua if they can get anybody to take that contract.
Yeah,
but that defense needs help. And
they're
Jeff
in complete
Hafley
rebuild, in my opinion.
Right. And Jeff Hafley can kind of just be that guy. Now, whether he's a long-term guy or this was just a guy you kind of, brought in just for a rebuild purpose. But I mean, listen, he's ran successful defenses everywhere he's been. So I think he'll get this defense going back up and going in Miami. It's just, again, with the defensive guy, what does he do with the offense?
Yeah, I mean, you got to bring in the right guy. Same thing. You have to be able to make the hire that fits your mold and helps the team.
And then Kevin Stefanski with the Falcons. Listen, people dog this move. I really like this.
I like the move a lot too.
People are like dogging Kevin Stefanski, and I'm like, I don't think you all truly understand. Listen when I say this out loud. He took the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs twice.
Right.
Like, he won Coach of the Year with the Cleveland Browns twice. You realize how hard that is to do?
Yeah, the man can coach. That was not the issue.
Listen, Stefanski was never the issue in Cleveland. Right. It's all front office in Cleveland is what their problem is.
That's why they continue to suck.
Correct.
Yeah.
Stefanski year after year was putting the best product he possibly could on the field for Cleveland. It's just when I'm given such bad pieces, I can only do so much. Now in Atlanta, as an offensive guy, now they're going to have to try to re-sign Kyle Pitts. He is a free agent. Does he, come back with and, give Stefanski a chance, or does he just say, listen, I've done my time in Atlanta, I'm gone?
I think that's dependent on who they get as quarterback.
Correct. And then, but he's got Drake London and he's got Bijan Robinson and then potentially Kyle Pitts. He's got one of the best offensive lines in football to work with. Now, like you said, what do we do at quarterback? Do we bring back Michael Penix and we try that out with Stefanski for a year? They don't have a first-round pick, so it's not like they can go draft anybody high. Is this a spot where they trade for a quarterback? Do they give Kirk Cousins another go for a year? Kirk Cousins was kind of always in that rumor with Cleveland as a trade piece. So maybe does Stefanski go, look, I've wanted Cousins over the last couple of years. I get it. He's a little older, but let me try it out with him. So I don't know, but I really like this hire. So Atlanta's has a young, good defense. So if they bring in a good defensive coordinator, they'll get that right, which I believe they just re-signed. They just brought back, I think his name is Ulbrich. If I'm correct, hold on real quick. Google search. Yeah, Ulbrich. They brought back Jeff Ulbrich. They were able to re-sign him. So you've got familiarity with the defense already going from this year into next year. Stefanski gets full control of the offense. Listen, Atlanta, and again, we talked about this before. The Carolina Panthers won this division at 8-9. This division is wide open. All right. So I fully trust that Kevin Stefanski is going to have the Falcons as a playoff contender next year.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which I think we're both going to have most to talk about, Jesse Minter with the Baltimore Ravens. I would have fully expected them to have an offensive mind to help Lamar. They've been with the same type of guy for so long. To me, hiring Jesse Minter, who has been nothing in his coaching career, but around the Harbaughs, you're basically just replacing Harbaugh with another Harbaugh. And I don't think I think long-term, this could be a good move because I think Minter will definitely have Baltimore's defense playing 100 times better than what they have. Like we've said, there's too many big names on the defensive side for them to be playing as bad as they are. So Minter will turn the defense around. I'm not going to lie to you. This may excite you. This may not. I'm not quite sure if Lamar Jackson is a Baltimore Raven going into next year.
Well, I don't know. That could be kind of quick. I do think he gets traded or he signs somewhere else, depending on the contract.
No, he's a
I
free
think he's
agent in 2027.
2027. So yeah, they might trade him to try and get something for him. That way they don't just lose him. To me, the what makes sense is you trade him to Vegas, and let Tom Brady have Lamar Jackson, and he's going to build around that. I think that's a very possible situation, and they have the cap space to pay Lamar his max contract, what he'll get. So, I don't like the Jesse Minter hire at all. I'm not really. I'm a fan of Jesse Minter. Don't get me wrong. I just don't think it's the right fit for Baltimore. Now that he could totally prove us all wrong because he could bring an offensive coordinator in there that totally changes Lamar's outlook. But that's still a wait and see game, and he's not proven as a head coach. And this team's ready to win now. I mean, they're ready to win. I just don't like it. I don't know who else you go after. But
now the only report that I've read off of this is they haven't really gotten anything like from Lamar about the Jesse Minter hire.
He's probably taking some time to process it.
Right. But the only thing I've heard is that Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, and several Baltimore offensive players have been very vocal that even if they hire Jesse Minter, that they want Cliff Kingsbury in the building. So I think that's about if you're in the Ravens if you're in the Ravens front office and you're like, no, we want to keep Lamar, no doubt about it. Like we want Lamar, we want to sign him long term. Then you went ahead and hired Jesse Minter, who's a defensive guy. I think this would be the one you got to go, all right, we'll bring in Kingsbury for you.
I don't mind that. Kingsbury is a little bit he's unorthodox, but I think that's kind of what you need for this offense.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you got to bring somebody in that's done it at this level because it's got to be somebody that Jesse Minter can just be like, listen, I'll be here if you need me, but this offense is yours. Like, you've got full reins. I'll be over here with the defense. If you need me, let me know. Like, but you got to get somebody like that. And again, if you're wanting to keep Lamar, this has to be the all right, we'll go get this guy for you. Because if not, I don't see Lamar staying in Baltimore. And I know the thing is, Lamar has been very adamant on wanting to go back home, which home is in Miami. So maybe is there a trade where you get the Dolphins first round pick or multiple first round picks and Tua ends up in Baltimore and Jesse Minter just runs with Tua for a year, while he fixes the defense, whatever. But I mean, Lamar has been very adamant about wanting to go home to Miami. And as a Ravens organization, here'd be my question to you, Doug. If you're the general manager and throughout everything Lamar has, done for you, done to you, however you want to view it, if Lamar comes to you and asks and says, I want to trade, are you going to try to help him get to where he wants? Or are you just going to say, nope, fuck it. We're sending you wherever the best package is?
I think you try to make it work where he wants, but at the end of the day, this is a business and you have to make sure your team comes out on top. That's just how this is. That's how this works. So I think you try to make a deal work with Miami if it's enough. If it makes sense and it's enough, yeah, send him there. But if not, you got to go where you get the best package and where it helps your team out. You just hired a new head coach. You got to help him out. So
the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, I would love that, but we can't offer any first round picks because we gave them all away for Sauce Gardner. So
I think in terms of where it makes sense for salary, where you could probably get a lot of picks, the Raiders does make sense, but I don't know if the only problem is with the number one pick, if they take Mendoza, obviously, do you want to take Lamar, who's about to hit the age of 30, close to it, with his playing style, how much longer truly does he have? So there's that factor, or I could just draft Mendoza where, sure, he could be a bust, but with his playing style, it lasts a little longer than what I could have with Lamar. I think the Jets make sense. They have a shit ton of cap and they have draft capital to give up, obviously, with the Colts first round picks the next 2 years and then their own. Listen,
Wait, who was the team you just said?
the Jets.
The Jets. Oh, okay, yeah.
Listen, I think this would light up not only the NFL on one side, but this city. We were just talking about them. What about the Atlanta Falcons?
That could be interesting. I mean, he would be the piece they're missing.
I mean, could you
That
imagine
offense would be loaded.
they pull off a trade and you have an offense with Lamar Jackson, Bijan Robinson, Drake London if they re-sign Kyle Pitts?
I think you could re-sign Pitts and trade him. That could be a trade piece.
Hey, bring Mark Andrews with you. Bring some familiarity with Lamar.
Yeah.
Listen, we'll take Andrews. You take Kyle Pitts.
Or is there a play? We're getting ready to talk about. I thought we were going to maybe talk about this team too, but the Pittsburgh Steelers are hiring Mike McCarthy. Is there a play there?
I don't think they would trade within the division. They don't want to play Lamar twice. That's the only problem.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
Yeah,
that's true.
Really, the only other play I could potentially see would be, Jesse Minter has connections with this guy. Could there be a play with Lamar in Minnesota? McCarthy comes over to Baltimore. Jesse Minter worked with or was a coach with McCarthy at Michigan. So there's a little bit of familiarity with that. Baltimore can kind of restart their offense around McCarthy and see if they got anything there. Lamar goes to Minnesota with Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I mean that would be fun to watch. Ultimately, I think Joe Burrow goes to Minnesota, but
that would be very fun to watch as well.
Yeah, I think that ends up happening. Yeah, I don't know. We might be overthinking this a little bit. If Jesse Minter gets a Cliff Kingsbury to come in, this team's still AFC Championship, championship or bust, in my opinion. Like this is what they should be trying to win for next year. I mean, this team's ready to go. They just needed some different coaching decisions being made during games. Cool. So if he gets a good offensive coordinator there, I think they don't even miss a beat.
And they could be, and you can argue if Jesse Minter does turn this defense around, they could be better than what they have been.
Sure. Yeah.
And maybe this is the missing piece. Maybe we end up eating our words and going, oh my God, Jesse Minter was such a great hire. If they're able to do this. But again, this is all depending on who they hire as a coordinator and then what happens with Lamar in the future.
Yeah.
All right. But there was one other head coaching decision that was made last weekend. We talked about it on our show, obviously. But there's been a lot of noise around it, and it's been the Buffalo Bills' job. They fired Sean McDermott. But I want to talk about something. The owner and GM held a press conference on Wednesday talking about the McDermott firing. All right. Why in the hell is Keon Coleman catching strays during this press conference?
He did, man. That was horrible. I don't know.
Why, as an owner, would you feel obligated in this press conference to be like, oh, our GM didn't want to draft Keon Coleman? That was kind of like a secondary pick. He didn't want Why does that need to be said? Because guess what? If I'm Keon, whether contractually obligated or not, I'm not returning to Buffalo after that. You basically just said, we didn't want you. Cool. Don't want me then. Send me somewhere else.
Yeah.
But I mean, in what world, as an owner or a GM, do you find it okay to throw a player under the bus like that?
Yeah, sounded like that person wasn't media trained, to be honest. So I think that was more, they probably just said something they weren't supposed to say. Yeah, it sucks for Keon Coleman because I think he's a good guy. I feel like he's a
Well,
decent receiver too.
and here's the thing:
And
when
yeah, no
when he
reason to
kept
catch
getting
strays.
when he kept getting benched this year, we never really got reasons as to
Yeah,
why
what
he
was
was
up with that?
benched.
That was
We
weird.
just kept getting like team conduct. Well, what is he doing? Like, you can't, like, I understand maybe you don't want some things getting out, but you can't just tell me team conduct and then not tell me what he's doing. And then all of a sudden now, because you're down receivers, now he's got to play. And because he hasn't played in 4 weeks and he's playing bad, yeah, because he's out of rhythm. He's not ready to play. He hasn't played in 4 weeks.
Yeah,
So,
I don't know.
like, and then to throw him under the bus is nuts. And then the other insane part of this whole thing is, if we're going to be honest, like I said, Sean McDermott should have been fired last year for sure. But Brandon Beane, the GM, should have been gone before him. And somehow this guy got promoted.
Yeah.
So let you tell me, I'm going to name you, since Josh Allen got drafted in Buffalo, these are these 7 wide receivers the Bills have drafted since drafting Josh Allen. Okay. Keon Coleman. Now you tell me when you hear an elite name out of this, okay? Or even a good name. Maybe these first 3 are good. After this, I mean, my God, I can't even tell you who these people are. Keon Coleman in 2024. Khalil Shakir in 2022. Gabe Davis in 2020. All right, so those are the 3 like good names.
Like, yeah, they had some good moments.
Now, here we go. Isaiah Hodgins.
I know the name, but
yeah, Marquise Stevenson.
No clue who that is.
Justin Shorter.
Nope.
Casey Prather. But we promoted this guy that made these picks.
Yeah, it sounded like he was trying to find a diamond in the rough type of deal and kept trying to do it with a receiver.
Yeah, but brother, at some point you got.
Now keep in mind they had Stephon Diggs for a while there, right? So
correct. But you still got to go get somebody next to him. You can't just.
Yeah, you do.
Oh, we just got Diggs and that's it. Like.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, again, I'm really not sure why he got promoted. There must be something, I don't know. There's always more to the story.
He's got dirt on the owner or something.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe. You never know, but I mean, I feel like there is more to the story of that, especially if he gets promoted. But I do think him being promoted is part of the reason why a lot of people don't want to go for this Buffalo Bills job, even with Josh Allen being there. I mean, this team again is ready to be in the AFC Championship game. They just need, they're. I think they're actually less further along than the Ravens are. I think Ravens dealt with some other stuff this year, but I think that Brandon Beane guy is a problem for head coaches around there have to report to him as the GM and president of operations. And I think that a lot of coaches don't want to deal with it. Then that was the whole reason Harbaugh restructured his contract, where he was reporting directly to the owner and not to the GM, where where the coaches get thrown under the bus by GMs, because that's their job. Just make sure the coach is coaching right.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. And now I sent this to you earlier. Apparently, the Bills are potentially serious about potentially hiring Phillip Rivers.
That's crazy.
My
man is just getting him insurance. Getting that insurance, bro.
Here's my thing. I'm not digging in on Phillip Rivers. I'm not saying that Phillip Rivers can't be a great coach. But it's organization malpractice when you have guys like Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen and you're hiring first-time head coaches.
Yeah.
These guys are trying to win. You got to get somebody that's established and ready to go in that building. Even if it's Brian Daboll in Buffalo.
That's who I think they should hire.
But, he's got the connection with Josh, whatever. You can say whatever in New York. He took New York to a playoff with Daniel Jones, and Saquon Barkley. So he's proven that with talent, he can go to a playoffs. Now you're giving him Josh Allen. At least he's got coaching experience. Like I just don't. It's malpractice when you have top 4 quarterbacks, however you want to rank them, and you're going after first-time head coaches. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so it looks like I was trying to see if he had interviewed anywhere. Brian Daboll looks like he'd interviewed for the Raiders job. Oh, and Bills. He did interview for the Bills. Okay, I was like, did they even interview him? Like, I feel like they should. But yeah, he's only 50, not that old. Great offensive mind to get in there, and like you said, he has that connection with Josh already. Yeah, I don't know. The Bills sound like they're in kind of shambles too, ownership and leadership in that organization too. Partly why they can't get over the hump. And the Patriots and the Patriots are just back. Like that's the reason.
Yeah,
Ownership
and that's got to
knows
be the
how
other
things
thing.
are supposed to go.
That's got to be my other thing. If I'm looking at this as a owner or a general manager, like in the time frame that I've had Josh Allen, I've watched the Patriots be great, suck, and now great again, all while having Josh Allen. The Patriots have now made a Super Bowl since losing Tom Brady, and I've had Josh Allen before Josh Allen did. That right there would have been enough for me to fire a GM.
Has he been there the whole time?
I don't know. I'd have to look and see like how long he's actually been there, but I mean, my goodness, dude, like
this Brandon Beane guy looks shady as fuck. He's held the GM position since 2017.
So yeah, since Brady was in New England.
Yeah.
Literally, this guy is just getting credit for drafting Josh Allen, essentially.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really all that is.
Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know. That sucks for Baltimore. For Buffalo.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they get Daboll in there. That's who I think they should hire.
But all right, from the professional side to college, because the game happened Monday night. We recorded our last episode on Monday morning. The Indiana Hoosiers are your 2025-2026 college football playoff national champions. So shout out. I mean, Hoosiers never even came close to a national title before. To turn it around like they've had in the last 2 years under Cignetti.
16-0.
Huh?
16-0.
Yeah.
Never lost.
16-0. Yeah, I mean, was a great year for Indiana. Great for the Big Ten as well. 3 straight.
Yeah, I give credit to Miami too, because, and I know it was a home game but they gave Indiana the best game they've had in like a long time. Ultimately, Carson Beck did exactly what we said he was going to do and turn the ball over late in the game. You just couldn't trust him with the ball. You could only hide him so much. And in a game where you're behind and you got to throw the ball, this was bound to happen eventually. But Fernando Mendoza and that run he had on that 4th and 5, good God, if that isn't a cap to a Heisman Trophy year, national champion year, I mean, that might be a statue. They're going to put Cignetti on there, a statue like next year probably. And then they're going to put a statue of Mendoza of him diving over the goal line after breaking 5 tackles. I mean, that was just insane. And they were destined to win that game. There was no chance in hell they were losing. You could just feel it in the game.
Oh yeah.
I was proud. I was proud of the Hoosiers for doing it. You know, it's keeping it in the region. Louisville and Kentucky fans, we both know the Hoosiers well, mostly as basketball. But for them, like you said, for them to turn it around so much in that 2-year span is ridiculous, and it's really history. It is doable now for most teams. Signetti has the blueprint. People just have to copy it if they can. If no other team does this again in the next 5 years, Signetti is a great coach. Just that's all you can say.
Sure.
He's just a great coach.
Yeah.
And of course, he's part of Saban tree, just like all the other coaches were in the college football playoff semifinal. But yeah, great game. And like I said, just perfect cap to Indiana's perfect season. So shout out to them, and we'll see what they do next year.
Yeah. This great. And again, and now it's got, the storyline is who's the next Indiana. Everybody's trying to, what coach can we hire? When you're looking at all these bad schools, and now Indiana's kind of made the blueprint for, listen, this can be done in legit, and in all actuality, it can be done in 1 year because they did it in the first year, going 11-1 and making the playoffs.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
It could be done in a year. Like your entire football program can be changed like that. All it takes is the right hire.
Well, no, not just that.
Well, it takes a lot of money too.
There you go.
Yeah. It definitely helps having Mark Cuban in your corner.
Yeah, you got to have money to recruit players. Now, they didn't have any 5-stars, which is also crazy. But I mean, you got guys, and the right hire is how they can bring the guys together to play hard and to play and buy into the system. That's what Signetti is good at. And that goes to show, if you can do that, you can win with any players you have, because any guys that's going to be on your college roster, most of them are talented. It's just who beats out who for what position. So if you had the higher piece, is how do you bring the guys together? And some coaches are great at that, and some coaches are horrible at it. That's why they end up not being head coaches. They end up being coordinators.
Yeah, for sure. So without doing, I've already done the deep diving, Doug. So I'm just
gonna I figured. I don't know what the hell you were doing, because you were really going into something.
Yeah.
I was looking in your shades.
Where would you? We're just going off the college football playoff era. So since 2014.
Oh God.
Where would you rank this Indiana team? Just based off your two eyes.
I don't know. That's too much. I don't even know where to put them. To me, number one is still the 2019 LSU team. That's just, they're not even comparable. Joe Burrow, and if you just look at the stats, if you go back and look at the stats for Joe Burrow's season and Fernando Mendoza's season, it's not even fucking close.
All right, so I'll do you one. I'm gonna go through some of these champions. You tell me if you would take Indiana or this team.
Okay. All
right. So you already said 2019 LSU. You're taking LSU.
Yeah.
2018 Clemson.
I'm taking
that's Trevor Lawrence freshman year Clemson.
I'll take Clemson.
2021 Georgia.
Yeah, take Georgia.
Last year Ohio State.
I'm taking Indiana.
Okay. 2017 Alabama. That was the Tua game-winning throw team.
I'm taking Indiana.
Wow.
Okay. I think I would. They had a. That was the backup, right? He came in and threw the.
Yeah, he came in and played in the second half.
Yeah, no, I think Indiana wins that game.
Okay. 2016 Clemson. That was the Deshaun Watson game-winning touchdown Clemson team.
Ooh, that one's good one. Yeah, that was the Hunter Renfrow, wasn't it?
Yeah, Hunter Renfrow. goal line against Alabama.
Can I go neutral on that one? That one's pretty even.
I'll let you come back on that one.
All right, let's come back.
2014 Ohio State. So the first CFP champion.
Yeah, who was the quarterback there?
The Ezekiel Elliott, Joey Bosa, Cardale
That's
Jones,
right,
Ohio
that's
State
right.
team.
Our defense was really good. I think I would take that Ohio State team.
Yeah, 2022 Georgia.
Who was that?
That was the second of the back-to-back, the Stetson Bennett, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Georgia team.
I don't know if anybody's beaten Georgia them
that people also seem to forget also had Ladd McConkey, Adonai Mitchell.
Yeah, I don't know. I still take Georgia. I don't think in those back-to-back years, I don't think anybody's beaten Georgia.
2020 Alabama. So this is the Mac Jones, Devontae Smith Heisman year.
Yeah. I think I take Indiana in that one.
All right, 2015 Alabama, the Derrick Henry team.
Nah, nobody's stopping Derrick Henry.
And then finally, the last one, 2023 Michigan.
Indiana.
Yeah, unless they're sign stealing, they're not winning that game.
Yeah. All right, now the 2016 Clemson.
Yep. This is pre-massage Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun, was he a Heisman finalist that year?
Yeah, I think he came in second that year.
To
Lamar.
Oh yeah, that was.
Lamar. No, he came in third. No, because Baker came in second.
Baker came in second. That was Lamar's year. I tell you what, Louisville must beat that team with Lamar. That was a fantastic game.
But it's Lamar
in Clemson, huh?
I said it's Lamar. Like,
no, I know. I'm just saying, they played Alabama that year, right?
Yeah, in the Natty. Yep.
I think I go Indiana on that team.
I think the difference in that game is one, Deshaun Watson, and then two, that Clemson defense was insane in its own right.
Yes, but it took a game-winning touchdown to win against Bama, and I still think I'd take Indiana over that Bama team too. And I think you take Fernando Mendoza in that, and that Indiana defense was really good.
Yeah.
I think I take Indiana over that Deshaun Watson team.
Okay, so based on what you said, you would have probably had them.
They're middle of the pack.
Third or fourth out of 12.
I think.
Sorry, backtrack. Other way around. Sorry, 7 or 8 out of 12.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah. So I have them at 8.
Okay.
The ones I had above them, and so when I did this, I took in mind, how good and how dominant was their regular season. How good is the roster overall? How good was the playoff run, and then how impressive just was the totality of everything. So obviously Indiana, the totality of everything is very impressive because of where they were 2 years ago to now. It's just insane. And plus having no 5 stars, you got to take that into a factor. All right, but number 1 for me was 2019 LSU. 20, which is that's pretty set in stone. Everybody should have that. Number 2 was 2018 Clemson for me. Number 3 was 2021 Georgia. 4 was last year's Ohio State for me. When I'm adding basically what this team had, but I'm adding Jack Sawyer, JT Tuimoloau, Emeka Egbuka, and along with the guys that they still have now, I think that Indiana team. I think Ohio State is a little bit better, not by much, but just a little bit. All these last couple are just like by skin hair a little bit. 2017 Alabama. I mean, if I just go through and read some of those names off just alone on the roster. 2014 Ohio State, just because that's just you want to talk outside of Indiana, you want to talk about a team of destiny on your third string quarterback to still win the national title. And then I have Indiana, and then 2022 Georgia, 2020 Bama, 2015 Bama, and 2023 Michigan. So But
About around the same spot. I mean, they're middle of the pack.
And it's okay. Like, again, we talked about this last week. Let's stop comparing. Like,
Yeah.
it's okay that they're like everybody wants to, I get it that based off the story alone, they are way up there as far as a national champion. But I mean, it's okay to not be like the best national champion of your era. It's okay. You won the national championship. And also, let's backtrack. The fact that Indiana held their championship ceremony yesterday pre-winter storm is insane. I would have pushed that back until we get through all this. I want the most people there as possible because there was nothing.
Hold another one.
I mean, yeah, because there was nothing but jokes on Twitter because there was barely anybody there because, nobody wants to go out in this winter storm.
Well, yeah.
And so there was only like, roughly, I know this, I say this and it's a lot, but it's not a lot when you compare like 2,000 people there. And, people are joking and are like, oh, Indiana's championship celebration looks like Indiana did before Signetti. And so it's like, why, with the winter storm coming in, why hold the championship celebration? Why not just push it back? It's okay.
Like, yeah. Well,
hopefully they hold another one.
I think people look into that shit too much.
So now we look into next year's college football. And what, we've seen transfer portal, we've seen, pretty much who's going where, who's going into the draft. So, Doug, without further ado, here is my way too early top 10 going into next year. Again, I've always lived and died by to be the man, you got to beat the man. Indiana will be number 1 until they lose.
Okay.
Number 2, I have Ohio State. Again, their only loss were to the 2 national championship teams. You're returning Jeremiah Smith, regardless of how I feel about Julian Sayin. They returned Julian Sayin. They still have Matt Patricia as a defensive coordinator. They just hired Arthur Smith yesterday as their offensive coordinator, which I'm not really sure how I feel about that, but it is what it is. It's still an NFL guy if you want to take that, because I didn't really know how I felt about Matt Patricia last year. So hopefully that turns it around like it did with Matt Patricia. 3, I have Notre Dame. Listen, we can laugh at Notre Dame. Their schedule is literally I mean, I think Fern Creek High School has a tougher schedule than Notre Dame next year. But Notre Dame, with what they're returning, especially their starting quarterback, the pieces they're returning on defense, I think Notre Dame is still going to be one of the top teams in the country next year. Oregon, obviously returning Dante Moore, a lot of their receivers. Mateo Uiagalelei, one of their best edge rushers, is returning. They'll be right there. Georgia returning Gunnar Stockton for another year is going to be right up there as well. I wanted to put them in my top 5, but just simply off of this year and the downfall that happened, I couldn't quite do it. But Texas, I think another year of Arch Manning with Sarkisian. They just got Cam Coleman, one of the top receivers from Auburn. I think Texas is going to be very good next year. Miami is I'm going to put them here, but this is all pending on if they truly do end up with Darian Mensah. We know that court case is going on and everything, and he's technically not with Miami. But as long as he ends up a Hurricane, they'll be a top 10 team next year. Texas Tech, we know, just went out and spent all their oil money on a quarterback. So
they got it
right there. What?
So they got it. Might as well spend it.
I mean, yeah. 9, it looks like Trinidad Chambliss is going to be granted another year.
Great.
And
can't wait to see him first game of the season.
If he's granted another year, Ole Miss is the top 10 team going into next year. And then lastly, BYU. This BYU team was very good. Schedule's weak next year. They return. Obviously, you just had Bear Bachmeier, who was a freshman, play all year and play very well. He's got more experience now. I think BYU be another great team in the Big 12. Now, the only game that Notre Dame has on their schedule next year that you could be like, maybe they lose that one, is they do have to go to BYU in the middle of the season. And I'll tell you what. Yep. And I'll tell you what. shout out to Haley here. If that game's a night game, you don't want to see BYU at night. If we have a 10 o'clock Eastern BYU Notre Dame might be in trouble.
That's too late for them Catholics.
So, the Catholics versus the Mormons.
I'm Catholic, so that's funny.
But yeah, that's my way too early top 10 going into next year from what I have so far. And obviously, like I said, what was that?
I'm gonna say, you're good. Go ahead. You're good.
I was just saying, Miami's pending on if Darian Mensah does end up at Miami, because if not, that's a completely different team.
That's what I was gonna say.
And then same with Ole Miss too, as well. If Trinidad Chambliss is not granted eligibility and he does enter the draft, that's those two spots are completely different as well.
Yeah, Louisville gets Ole Miss first game of the season after Georgia was scared to play us and had to reschedule. So we put Ole Miss on the schedule for next year, first game. So honestly, I kind of want Trinidad there. So I want to beat that team.
You could be playing Trinidad Chambliss. You could be playing Deuce Knight. Who knows?
Guess not.
So,
guess we'll.
The only thing I worry about with Ole Miss going into next year is, and Trinidad I think is very good. The only thing I worry about is there is no. I don't know who Ole Miss's offensive coordinator is, because there won't be a Lane Kiffin there, obviously, and there's no longer Charlie Weiss Jr. there. Yep. So where do they go for play calling to help with, is Trinidad just that good where it doesn't matter, or was the play calling really in favor for Trinidad? So
it's possible. We'll find out.
We'll
find out.
That's just a big what if. And LSU was kind of right there. I was
going to ask where you were going to have them.
I got to see it. I wanted to put them there, but I got to see it on the field first.
I think it's going to translate just fine.
I think potentially, yes, because it's Lane Kiffin. I know the offense is going to put up 30, 40 points a game. But I gotta see what they do defensively and everything too, because that's really been LSU's downfall the last couple of years. They've been able to score with the best of them, with Jaden Daniels and Garrett Nussmeier. Problem is they couldn't stop anybody.
Yeah.
In the famous words of Tom Izzo, you couldn't guard my mother.
Famous words.
I mean, so we'll see.
Speaking of college basketball, this place, college basketball being this place, is, I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith, but that is basically what college basketball is right now. It is honestly, I think it's in a bad state. It's only going to get worse if the fucking NCAA does not put regulations on this stuff. Something eventually has to give.
This stuff makes what happens in college football look like child's play.
Oh yeah.
Like we sat here and debated about the whole Duke and Miami ordeal with Darian Mensah and how that's fucked up. That's nothing compared to what college basketball is allowing. I mean, we got on here and talking about James Najee, and then and during the summer into summer/fall, we talked about London Johnson at Louisville and all these G League players returning to college. And Charles Bediako has been gone from college for 3 years. 3 years. And now just decided because he sucks as an NBA player, I'm going to go back to college.
Makes him NIL money.
And not only that, here's the thing. Scott Drew at Baylor at least has the decency, or maybe James Najee just isn't that good, but had the decency to not throw him out there immediately. I mean, he threw him out there in spurts, but threw him out there sporadically, and he doesn't really play a whole lot. Now, part of that could be he's still learning the system. Maybe he's hurt, whatever. Or maybe he's just not that good. Brother, you weren't good enough to play in the G League. You're not even good enough to play at a Division I level. I don't even know what to tell you. But Charles Bediako played last night and scored 13. Nate Oates just said, fuck everybody else. I'm putting him in there. He damn near started him. with the amount of minutes he played.
Well, why wouldn't he? He's if it's legal and NCAA is going to allow this, why wouldn't he not play him if
that's
he
my
feels
thing.
he's going to make an impact?
And that's my thing. 'Cause there was that report this week that there's a G League guard. His name is Dink Pate, Pate, however you want to pronounce his last name. That's wants to be at Kentucky, and as long as he was drafted last year. He has not played in the NBA. He's played in the G League, but he wants to return back to college like everybody else. And if he's allowed, he said he wants to be at Kentucky as long as Kentucky will have him. And I have been so like against this because I don't think it's right. Listen, we talked about this before. When you get your update from your school, so let's just take Michael Brown this year, for instance. Later in the year, when you get the notification that Michael Brown has entered the draft, it is going to read, Michael Brown has foregone his remaining college eligibility and will enter the 2026 NBA draft. That right there tells me you have sacrificed your rights to play college basketball anymore.
Agreed.
That is said on anybody that enters the draft. They have, unless they're a senior, obviously, and they're done. Everybody else is from junior to freshman will say, will forego his remaining 1, 2, 3 years of eligibility and will enter the draft. See, to me, where the NCAA can fix this is in that part right there. If you decide you're going to enter the draft, we're going to hand you a contract. And when you enter the draft, you're signing this contract that says you will forego your remaining eligibility, which means under no circumstances can you return back to college. That's how you fix it. Is when they go to sign off for the NBA draft, you have to sign a college document that says you are not returning.
Yeah, why not?
You've made the decision. You have made the big boy decision to go pro. Live with it. Maybe make better decisions. I don't know what to tell you. But
or be better.
Yeah.
And, go put work in overseas or something.
The NCAA already does them favors. Where college basketball and college football are different is college football, you can't go to the draft combine and return to college. If you enter the combine, you're gone.
Right.
The NBA, the college basketball where it's different is they allow you to test your waters at the NBA combine, and then you have a certain time where you have to decide if you're going to stay in the draft or come back. So as college basketball on the NCAA side of things, we're already doing you favors by allowing you to test your waters and test everything out and see at a combine if you could truly go or not. They don't have to do that to begin with. They're already letting you do that. So now you're going to take full advantage of that and then go, oh, this first potentially 3 years in the G League hasn't gone the way I want it to. I'm going to go back to college. No, fuck off.
Yeah, it's not fair to the incoming freshman. That's a roster spot that incoming freshmen will not have.
It's not fair to incoming freshmen. It's not fair to the guys that maybe went to a school and was willing to sit a year or so and wait their turn.
Yep.
It's not fair to the guys that, have played, have been waiting for their breakout year, maybe have been playing, and now, their senior year is supposed to be their breakout year. Well, not anymore. We just got this G League guy who plays the same position as you. Like, it's not fair across college basketball. Just because your decision didn't turn out the way you wanted it to, that doesn't mean you get to come back and just restart.
I want to know are these guys enrolling in school?
I don't know.
Carson Beck kind of threw that out there. Kind of what we were all thinking, but no one ever asked the question. He's like, I've been graduated for 2 years. So, like, are you not enrolled in school? You're just there, like, playing football? Which is not legal, I don't think, according to NCAA.
Yeah, I don't know.
You have to be enrolled. I mean,
but I know what you're talking about. Where Carson Beck said, they asked him if he had been in class this week, and he said, "I've been graduated for 2 years now."
Right. I mean, they got to be enrolled in some classes.
So it does
to be
say
an NCAA
it does
student
say
athlete.
like I didn't look up Charles Bediako yet, but James Najee at Baylor. It says he is enrolled at Baylor in classes.
Yeah, it could say that. Is he actually doing it?
That I don't know.
Full on North Carolina, just fake classes.
So, oh, by the way, speaking of all this, did you see what Tennessee's basketball Twitter put out after the game?
Mm-mm.
So, they played Tennessee last night at Alabama. Alabama did, and Tennessee won last night. Tennessee's basketball's Twitter after the game, you know how every college posts like their score and if they won or lost. Tennessee went to go post their win, tagged the G League team that Charles Bediako played for and said, "You're next."
Fantastic. I love that. Is it Barstool?
Savage.
Was it their Barstool page or something?
No, it was their actual Tennessee Vols basketball page.
Love that. That's they couldn't have done that a better way.
I mean, just absolute savage. So let's see. And here's the thing. He's in the 3 years he's gone, he's signed 3 different NBA G League contracts. Talking about Bediako. So
where did he play in college?
At Alabama.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah, he played for Nate Oates, which is why probably when he came
okay.
right back in, it was a seamless fit because he's already played.
He's already knows the system.
But
yeah,
I mean,
they shouldn't allow that. That's just
so now everybody's making jokes, because now on the Kentucky side of things, again going back to what I was talking about with Dink, I don't like this idea. Because I do think eventually, somewhere down the road, what's going to end up happening is they're going to allow this for now. And I think somewhere down the road, the NCAA is going to be like, it's going to be 5-10 years from now. They're going to be like, yeah, this wasn't allowed after finally all these court rulings. And they're going to go back and start vacating wins.
I can't do that. If they gave you the eligibility, they can't do that. NCAA is giving you the eligibility.
Yeah, but here's the thing with Bediako. He wasn't his is an Alabama court that granted his eligibility, and they don't go to court again until the 27th, which is Tuesday. But he was named that's why I was saying, like, when I texted our little group chat yesterday, and I said he was granted eligibility by an Alabama court. They don't go back to court till Tuesday. So what happens now when they come back on Tuesday? If Alabama had won that game, if they come back on Tuesday and they're like, yeah, no, he's not eligible. So if Alabama had won that game, do we make them forfeit that win now?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So I don't even know if the NCAA even knows what's going on.
No, they clearly don't on any realm of transfer portal, NIL, this shit with college basketball, none of it.
The transfer portal at this point is the least of your concerns with this going on the college basketball side of things.
Yeah. It was, originally it was only the transfer portal that was the problem.
Yeah, and with NIL, and then on top of it, this is the transfer portal is the least of your concerns now. But like, imagine if college football allowed this.
They couldn't. There's no way.
I mean, just imagine though. But like, imagine like for Ohio State this year, they're 10 they're about to go play Indiana in the Big Ten championship. What if they allowed this and Jack Sawyer just decided, hey, my rookie year hasn't gone the way I wanted to. I'm going to return to Ohio State. And he got to play in the Big Ten championship. Like, Jake Fromm's been selling insurance for the last 5 years. What if he just decides, I'm going to go play quarterback at Georgia again next year? I mean, this is just, it's nuts.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start trying to do it.
Now where the flip side of this for the Kentucky side of things is apparently after the court ruling, Oscar Tshiebwe and his team, like his agent and everything, is now going to try to fight to play another year at Kentucky if they're going to allow all this. So now somebody made a joke on Twitter. They said your 2026, 2027 Kentucky Wildcats, and it includes Dink Pate, who played in the G League. You'll remember these names, Doug, but some people might not. Ty Washington, who's been in the G League. and it's none of these are necessarily rumored, but these is just somebody having fun. So Ding Pate, Ty Washington, Khalil Whitney, EJ Montgomery, who hasn't played in the NBA, he's just been overseas, and then Oscar Tshiebwe will be the 2026-2027 Kentucky starting five.
Sounds like a solid starting five.
Like I that's my thing. Is just I just listen, if they're gonna allow it, that's where my thing with Dink is. If they're gonna allow it, why not? Take full advantage of it if you're gonna allow to do it. But I got this gut feeling that somewhere down the line it's gonna come back and bite these schools.
Maybe if it's court ruled like that and not NCAA actually say if the NCAA had a problem with it, they would stop it though. Why are they not stopping it?
I don't know.
So they can't do that. They have to stop
This
this
says Mr.
eventually.
Bediako signed 3 NBA contracts after competing in college for 2 seasons. The NCAA has not and will not grant eligibility to any prospective or returning student athletes who have signed an NBA contract. Eligibility rules ensure high school students get a shot at earning scholarships, and we will continue to consistently apply and defend these rules.
Okay.
But why was he allowed to play then?
Right. Why is they just pick him up off the street and pay him some money? That can hurt him in the long run. And of course, Louisville has done it, and will probably vacate some wins if he plays.
So Bediako's lawyer stated, the NCAA's arbitrary and inconsistent enforcement of its eligibility standards is inflicting immediate and irresponsible harm upon them. So basically, he's just flat out telling you, because the NCAA has not done anything about it, yeah, we're going to fully take advantage of this.
I mean, legally, they probably can. If it's, very arbitrary.
And that's the thing. So the case involving Baylor center James Najee differs from Bediako because although Najee was drafted in 2023, which is the same year as Bediako when he went undrafted, Najee never signed an NBA contract. Najee was also cleared by the NCAA to play for Baylor, whereas Bediako has not been cleared by the NCAA. The temporary restraining order granted by Judge James Roberts Jr., a Tuscaloosa County Circuit judge, allowed Bediako to play Saturday. Roberts' decision drew criticism after it was revealed he is listed as a donor to the University of Alabama.
Oh, my God. Now he's paying them to play.
But it won't be a final judicial say on the matter. The initial ruling covers just 10 days, which means Bediako will likely need a preliminary injunction on January 27th if he wishes to get. So basically, he's not been cleared by the NCAA. The court ruling just basically voided the NCAA allowing to do anything. So he was able to play Saturday. And now there's no telling. He may not be able to play the rest of the year. So what was the point? And here's my thing. If you're going to go sign this guy, you better fucking win. They didn't even
win. Because these guys aren't as good as they thought. Incoming freshmen are better. Some of them. I don't know. This is just stupid.
Yeah, and the only other thing on here that says, like, Todd Golden said, I don't think these guys should be playing. He said, but he doesn't fault Nate Oates for taking the step that could help his team win games. But He did say, we are going to beat them anyway. If he plays, we'll beat them anyway. Yeah, I mean, it says, Kentucky coach Mark Pope suggested the NCAA tournament selection committee should not consider results that occurred when a team played someone who is not eligible. The one-stop gap that is that's kind of spreading right now that maybe has some legs is that the NCAA does get to decide who gets into the NCAA tournament. They get to decide that. They just have that power. They've been very, very clear about the rules that they're going to try to enforce. They might lose in court, but they still get to decide what games count towards the NCAA tournament.
Sure. If he does play the rest of the season and he plays all them games, the NCAA's like, come tournament time in March, and they're like, yeah, sorry, none of those games count because he played. We didn't clear him.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that?
Alabama could, let's just say in a scenario, Alabama wins out, let's just say theoretically wins the the SEC tournament. So that would put, if they just won out, they would finish the year with 6 losses. Yeah, and then what if the NCAA committee is just like, yeah, sure, we'll put you in, but you're going to be like a 14 seed because we don't count those other games? Or what if we just decide, hey, you're not going to make the tournament because you decided to play this guy?
I think that would be more likely. That would be fantastic. And scary all at the same time. And that's when they would have to put stipulations.
That's when schools just wouldn't even bother
They'll stop
with these guys.
Really,
Like-
they might just be trying to make a point of it now. They're like, hey, we're going to do this. And now they just won't sign those guys. It's very possible.
But yeah,
Yeah.
this is just the wild, wild west of college basketball.
Yep.
Anything is possible. Hey, LeBron James, when he retires from the Lakers, if he wants to play 4 years at Ohio State, go for it, buddy. Why not?
LeBron may not pick up a basketball again after he retires. The mofo's going to be in Cancun or
He's going to be golfing.
wherever. He'll
on
be
YouTube.
golfing in the Bahamas or something. He'll be buying a team, putting an NBA team in Vegas. That'll be his next thing.
Hopefully.
Him and Tom Brady will team up.
But yeah.
All right. Well, that does it for this late night episode of the Work the Crowd. We hope you enjoyed this, and remember, we are live, so we will be live next Sunday. It varies on time, so keep a watch out. And we'll see you guys next week. All right. Peace out, Girl Scouts.